What is customary international law? Explained. Imagine a world where countries follow certain rules not because they signed a contract but because they believe they should. That's what customary international law is all about. It's a set of rules that develop over time based on how countries behave and what they believe they are legally required to do. These rules aren't written down in treaties or official agreements but are still considered binding. Customary international law forms when many countries act in a similar way over a long period. For example, most nations agree not to commit genocide or torture, even if they haven't signed a treaty saying so. These common practices become accepted as rules everyone must follow. The key idea here is that countries follow these practices because they think they are legally obliged to do so. This belief is called opinio juris. It's what makes the practice more than just habit. It's a sense of legal duty. The practice of countries and their belief in legal obligation work together to create these unwritten rules. They often cover fundamental issues like the prohibition of slavery, the rights of diplomats, and the rules about navigating the oceans. These norms are recognized worldwide and serve as a main source of international law alongside written treaties. Customary international law is formed through two main steps. First, there is state practice, meaning many countries consistently follow a certain behavior. This practice must be widespread, representing different regions and legal systems, and it needs to be steady over time. Second, there is opinio juris, where countries follow the practice because they believe it's legally required, not just out of convenience or political reasons. Since customary law doesn't have a central authority or enforcement agency, it relies on the collective agreement of nations and recognition by international courts like the International Court of Justice. This decentralized system can sometimes reflect the interests of powerful countries, raising questions about fairness in international justice. From an ethical and political point of view, customary international law shows a balance between universal moral standards and the realities of international power. It embodies a shared commitment to certain principles that protect human dignity and promote justice across borders. Yet, because powerful nations can influence what becomes a recognized norm, questions about fairness and legitimacy often come into play. In practical terms, customary international law helps fill gaps where treaties don't exist or are incomplete. It guides how countries interact, resolve disputes, and hold each other accountable. For instance, the principle of non-refoulement, which stops countries from sending refugees back to dangerous places, is a customary norm with big ethical implications for justice and governance worldwide. To sum up, customary international law is made up of unwritten rules that are considered legally binding because of consistent practice and a shared belief in their obligation. It shows how ethics and politics intersect on the global stage, balancing moral commitments with the realities of power and influence among nations.